An animal tranquilizer called xylazine is being detected in a growing number of confiscated drugs here in Western Mass.
We're getting answers on how it's making heroin and fentanyl even more dangerous. The animal sedative xylazine, which reduces breathing and slows the heart rate, is being mixed into an already deadly drug supply.
I thought, how could things get any worse than fentanyl? And then the xylazine came around.
Gabriel Qualia of Tapestry Health tells Western Mass News those who overdose on opioids laced with xylazine can remain unresponsive even after being treated with Narcan.
They might not become conscious again immediately like they used to with Narcan, but if you notice that they start breathing again, that's the more important thing.
This year, the Massachusetts Drug Supply Data Stream found that 42% of opioid samples tested in Western Mass contained xylazine. That's twice as much as in Eastern Mass, where xylazine was found in just 21% of opioid samples.
Whoever's, given the drugs to Western Mass from New York and further down in Mexico has just started to use that. So I think that's where the supply chain has made the difference.
Northwestern District Attorney David Sullivan says he first noticed xylazine showing up in toxicology screenings about a year ago, and now it's widespread.
We're really definitely concerned that there might be more overdoses than there would be ordinarily.
In Massachusetts, a stunning 2,290 people died of an opioid overdose last year, a record high, including 211 overdose deaths in Hampden County, a slight decrease from 215 in 2020. Franklin County saw an 80% increase in overdose deaths, going from 20 deaths in 2020 to 36 in 2021. District Attorney Sullivan says fewer outpatient and inpatient programs in rural Franklin County could be to blame.
The isolation, in addition to the economics of an area without having those key places for recovery and for treatment, really do make a difference.
Here's a list of opioid samples confiscated in the Franklin County city of Greenfield. In this database, it lists a photo of the sample and then the substances it contains. Last year in Greenfield, more than 66% of the samples tested contained xylazine. What makes it so dangerous? Dr. Melissa Anderson says when the sedative is injected, it can cause the user to slump over and block their airway.
The natural response is to get startled. You'll take a deep breath. But if you have xylazine on board, that's blunted. You're so sedated that even if your oxygen levels are dropping, you're not going to be stimulated to take that deep breath.
That can lead to asphyxiation. Someone who's oversedated could also be injured in a fall or get hypothermia if they're unconscious outside.
We, of course, always tell people to try to use less of whatever substance they are to start with, just so that they know its strength.
Qualia says users should find a Tapestry Health location for stigma-free care, including clean syringes and alcohol pads to prevent infection. And he encourages everyone to carry Narcan because while xylazine could still take hours to wear off, reversing the effects of the opioid saves lives.
You're much more likely to see an overdose these days than a heart attack, right? So Narcan training is maybe even more important than CPR.
And since xylazine is a medicine for animals, it's not a controlled substance, but DA Sullivan says the District Attorneys Association is considering classifying the drug so it becomes regulated.